I'm going to read the title poem of the book, of the new book called Backstory. And it's really the first full public reading of it. I've read sections of it together with other things in the past. And it is indeed an honor to say it in this space. There are a few things that I'd like to say about it that are not really necessary. You'll see them, but I want to make mention of the fact that flags make an appearance. And here I am standing here. For some of you who are out of town who may not know it, this is the 36-star flag that was that cradled Lincoln's head when he was shot. So it is indeed an honor, to say the least, to read it here for the first time. There are references here that you don't need to know about, but might be useful to some of you who might be keeping score with prosody and all the rest of that. You remember that from high school. Some of the references are to the book of Ecclesiastes, to Walt Whitman's work, even to that feel-good poem from the 1920s, The Wasteland. I'm sure some of you remember that one. One of the other things that jumped out when I was sort of reviewing this too was the family math, I'm calling it, as it traces throughout the poem, as it braids through the poem. We begin to see, perhaps, maybe this is an echo of what we just saw in the recent election, and perhaps where we are right now with the economy. The poem is in 6 sections. I'm going to read it without intermission. This would be a good time to remember that finite experience mantra that we talked about. For any of you who might think you might have a problem. And I'm going to read it just pausing between the sections without announcing the section numbers. I think it flows better that way. Backstory. In the year of my birth, the Pope cleared his throat and spoke out across the frigid basilica, echoing gold and stone, leaving no doubt when he was done about the Blessed Mother's bodily rise. Meanwhile, cooped up above a flower shop in Queens, Kerouac rolled the scroll of his own assumptions as McCarthy cooked up his list of communists, and war flared in Korea, and Truman gave imprimatur to the H-bomb. Sinatra went to number 5 singing Good Night, Irene. And Merton split the scene long before, busing himself off to the Trappists in Kentucky. By the end of the decade, my report card came home with all pluses. My height was 51 1/4, my weight 59 1/2. I was never tardy, never dismissed. My citizenship that year was satisfactory, the best of 2 available grades. In a handwritten note nibbed in blue ink, Miss LaFontaine said she enjoyed having me in her room. She'd read to us during disaster drills, each of us tucked under a desk. In social studies, it was the year the flags changed. Alaska, igloos, white bears, tundra. Hawaii, coconuts, Captain Cook, volcanic rock, becoming our 49th and 50th states. In the dead of night, somebody called Dalai Lama hightails the Himalayas out of Tibet in broad daylight. Somebody called Castro rumbles into the streets of Havana. A UFO glows over Fifth Avenue as its architects lowered to his rest. Marilyn Monroe plays Sugar Cane. A fine snow dusts the Iowa field where a plane carrying musicians crashed. And on June 16th, 1959, I'm promoted to Miss Clay's 4th grade class. It was the year our father, 2nd of 8, who'd left school at 15, who was blessed with good hands and good brains, was finishing the brick house he built for us on 2 lots, where our earthly mother, herself the 7th of 8, whose parents spoke mostly Polish, whose own schooling ended early, and who too was blessed with good hands and good brains, would remake a home each day in the brick house our father built. And the 2 of them raised 4 on 1 working man's wages in the East Great Plains section of the city, west of the river, where the downtown stood with all its stores. And we lived in those days where there were fields, one in a valley with a stream threading through it, was torched each fall and flooded for skating. The whole town would skate there under the lights. We took our cues from older boys who'd smoke in the lean-to and skate circles around the girls. Another field behind our house had horses.